Hello everybody. Today I want to discuss something that has been on my mind for a while, and that is the manipulation slash propaganda that we go through on a day-to-day basis. How much we are really influenced by what is said on the TV. Now, mind you, since 2007 I haven't had a TV, so I haven't been listening and being indoctrinated by the news. But let me tell you a story. As a young girl, I was born in, of course I was born in Denmark, but as a 5-6-year-old I traveled to the US. And when I came to the US, I was hearing the same thing as I was told in Denmark. Denmark is the greatest country. In the US, I heard US is the greatest country. And then later on, when I turned, I think 19, when I lived in Sweden, Sweden said the same thing. And I was like, we are really, really being indoctrinated. Either each country has some kind of agenda, or I'm just lucky that I was able to live in different places and then see this agenda that was put onto us, that is put into our internal beliefs. Same belief as we are free. Wow. That might have been true. We might have felt we were free in the 70s, 60s, 70s, but then of course we were opening up to our hearts. We were opening our hearts to the flower power movement. We were opening our hearts to a lot of things. And of course, what did the persons to be, or the families that want to control us, do? Well, sex and drugs came in. And drugs was put in, and it wiped out a whole entire awakening, mass awakening. 2001, it was about time for us to do that one more time. Well, the powers to be at that time, what did they do? And of course, we can't really say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. 9/11 took us back into fear. Okay. Now it's 2020. And before 2020, let's go back, 2012. What happened in 2012? It was a big shift. The shift between love, fear that was, to love. The shift between male to female. Well, when shift happens, shit happens as well. Okay? In other words, things happen when we start awakening, when we start seeing our power, when we as a people, humanity as a whole wakes up to who we really are. We open up our intuition. We open up our discernment. I know many of you are not awake yet. Many of you don't even understand that this virus is not the virus we're talking about. It's the virus. It's on a completely different level. But it's okay. I just want you to take this in consideration, that what you're looking at is a program. If you're looking at TV, you are being programmed. I quit watching 2007 because it didn't make me happy, and all I felt was it wasn't real. It was like I remember when I was in the watching, and then I got out of it and I felt so bad. My whole body was feeling weird. So it's almost like a drug. I needed to see these programs. I needed to be programmed. You know, as a hypnotherapist, I know what program is all about. And TV is definitely hypnotizing you completely. And I don't say hypnotherapist as a bad thing, because you can definitely improve your life. But if you're watching war movies, you're watching news that, by the way, is only scripts written by the elite to make you think that this is the way it is. Same thing with history. A lot of the history is going to be changing very, very soon. You're going to be seeing completely new ways of looking at things, because history was written by the elite to keep us in our place. And many of you say, "Oh, that can't be true." Well, please do your own research. I'm always telling people, do your own research. Now, what happened in 2012 was interesting. We were getting to become communities. We were beginning to connect with each other on the internet. We were beginning to connect worldwide. This was amazing. And then what started happening? Do you guys remember? This is a while ago now, I know. But do you guys remember what happened? Well, let me just put it in perspective. Suddenly, our internet that was free was being threatened that it was not going to be free. Remember that? So in around that time, there were of course concerns that we were going to be so connected that nobody could control us. So guess what they do? They start to censor, or well, at least at that time they weren't censoring. We heard about censoring. I don't remember exactly the year we heard about censoring, but we heard about censoring from China. That was the first time I heard that any kind of censoring was happening. But we were being censored right here in the U.S. We were being censored right here where we are. And the censoring had to do with, they wanted to control the internet, of course, and they wanted to make it so that only the big companies could run or could steer where the information was going. Well, we had a huge amount of people that said no, and I think we had even a day, I'm looking at this, 2012, let's see, January 18, 2012, we protest. We have a dark day of the net. I don't know exactly, I don't remember exactly all the details, but I do remember there was this it was very prevalent. January 18. So the law that was supposed to be passed, that was called the National Defense Authorization Act, 1867, and it was supposed to be put into place, and it was put into place because we acted on it, it was not being put in place. Yay! But guess what happens later? On May 1st, 2012, with little or no mass media coverage, President Obama signs Executive Order 13563, declaring international law to apply to the U.S. So another law came in its place. This is what they've been doing forever and ever and ever. And I'm not just saying Obama. Almost every president has done this, because this is the way to get things through. You divert the public attention, and then you sign a law, executive order, okay? But this one was really important because 2012, what could happen then? Well, that meant foreign troops could come in here. That meant the United Nations forces could come in here. And I don't know if you guys remember, before Trump when Obama and Hillary were working together, I don't know if you remember that suddenly, I think it was, well, anyway, in one of the media channels, and I'm not talking about Fox or MSNBC, what's his name? Anyway, there was an enlightening of the fact that we were seeing all these body bags being sent. We were seeing big buildings being emptied out. And a lot of other things had been happening for years before this came through. And we had, people that were so-called conspiracy theorists talking about what was really going on behind the scenes. You were looking at it in a way that, everything is fine. But I could just feel my intention, my body was feeling that something was going on that was not going to be good for us. And especially not us who are speaking out. Freedom of speech. Come on. Well, that law that was put into place enabled Congress to pass to actually go in, and not Congress by themselves, but they were passing this law so that we could our guns could be confiscated. That's the Second Amendment. That's a no-no. Right now we are with the COVID. We are learning, we're talking about the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, right? So there are a lot of things that are up in arms right now, up in the air, and we're wondering what's going on. And I'm just going to tell you one thing, and that is, please understand that you are sovereign. And if your intuition says it's not right, it is not right. I don't care what people say. If your intuition says it's not right, it is not right. Something is not right. Something is happening in the background. I know but it's just there's so many things coming through my mind right now. So many people say, "Oh, the children now can be home." and they can, you know, have fun with their parents and stuff like that. Well, if they have parents that are still able to bring money in, or they have parents that are still able to you know, they're not stressed, they can pay their bills and so on, that's one thing. But if the children are home and they're seeing their parents freaking out because they don't have the money to pay for groceries or electricity or whatever, there's a different story there, right? And there are a lot of children that are going to be in that situation, that are going to be seeing their parents freaking out because of what's going on here. And then we're talking about a virus that is not really, it is killing some people, and I'm, you know, I obviously it does, right? And I'm not downplaying that, but I'm also saying, wake up, people. I would turn off the mainstream media. I would start looking at the so-called conspiracy theorists, because they're not conspiracy theorists. They're actually telling us the truth. And if there's a part of you that is irritated by what they say, good. That means you're being awakened. Okay? If a part of them is not going that narrative that you have been fed since you were born, you probably have had TV your whole life, right? All these programs. You know, when everybody went to see Star Wars, I didn't. When everybody went to see Independence Day, I didn't. When everybody went to see all the other movies that everybody had to go see, I didn't. Some of the reasons were of different reasons, but when I grew older, I was starting to discern that there are certain things that people are trying, and now we see the connection between movies and CIA, and they're wanting to program us through the movies as well, not just TV, but of course movies and news and the written, you know, text and so on. We're constantly being bombarded. And that's why sometimes it's very important to just tune out, turn off, let go, and discern. Do your own research. Now, I had some people the other day telling me that Bill Gates, that picture where it says Bill Gates Foundation, and then it said on top, population control or something, and everybody's up in arms for that. And I'm like, yeah, that's good, because if we had just put the picture Bill Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and then underneath written, oh, you know, they're dealing with this and this and this, human population control, nobody would have watched it. Nobody would have been up in arms. But because it was photoshopped into that sign, it looked like it was written more or less. I can't quote it verbatim, but it was written more or less. The Institution for Population Control, and then Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation, right? And good, it wakes up people. Sometimes we need to wake them up a little bit. You know, shake, shake, shake. Now, this pandemic is also waking you up, but it's also putting people in a state of easily programmable. I'm a hypnotherapist. I know how this works. So right now, when you're in fear, or you're having kind of a trauma, you're in a crisis mode, and then information gets put into your system, you take it as if that is the truth. Now you have to look at it. You have to get out of that, because for your own sake, and for your health's sake. Because if you jump down into the fear state, your whole body becomes immune compromised, because your immune system can't work if you're in fear. And if that is the case and you can't get yourself out, please connect with me. That's what I do. I work with hypnosis. I get you out of that fear state, because right now many of you, millions of you, are in the fear state, wondering what the next day is going to bring. But I would advise you to use discernment. Go back to common sense. Maybe things that your mom or your grandmother would say, maybe they're not so bad at all. Maybe you should start listening to that you know, the old wiser people. Sometimes they're not wiser, I guarantee you, I know that. But many times they have things. They have you know, experienced life. They have you know, I have my mother. I was talking to my mother. She's in Denmark. She's almost 80 years old, and she's walking 10 kilometers a day. She's 80 years old, and she's happy. She says, this is nothing. I was born under the Second World War in Europe. Can you imagine? Her best friend was a potato. I mean, you know, I mean, she's a tough cookie. She's 80 years old, but she's walking her 10 kilometers a day and you know, doing her thing. And I was just so happy to see that. I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, you're cool. You're really cool. You really got this, you know? She's like, poof, nothing. I went through the Second World War. What worse could it get? I mean, you know? So what we're going through here, it sounds like a really, really bad thing. And for some people it is, and I'm not downplaying it. But I have to say that it is also a very, very good thing. It's making the world wake up. Now, let's use our intuition. Let's use our intuition to become the empowered people that we are. In other words, if things don't feel right, and it doesn't feel right, and you just feel it in your gut, or you feel it in your heart, or you just sense it in some way, it isn't. And right now, what is going on behind the scenes is not what it looks like. It's not what it's portrayed to be. Now, some of us have seen that it's way, way deeper than that, and some of us have been following it for a while. I mean, 10 years ago, I bought one of those UV lamp things to disinfect in case. 10 years ago, okay? I already then. Now, of course, unfortunately, it doesn't work because I can't get the batteries out, so it's like useless. I bought seeds. I bought all kinds of things because I knew that was needed or at some time needed. I bought the place that I live in here over 10 years ago because I knew that this would be the perfect place to be in case of something like this, away from the big cities. And I did. And I have experienced that this was the right move. But at the same time, I want you to know that there is a way out of this. We are not doomed. I'm getting the information that we are in a very, very expansive space. So this month, just allow yourself to expand. Allow yourself to learn something new. Maybe take up a new hobby or something that you've always wanted to do. If you sat around eaten too many cookies and sat too much, take up something that you've always wanted to do. I mean, of course, it can't be like, you know, dancing, you know, tango dancing, right? At least right now, which we should be able to really. But okay. But take something, do something, or learn something new. Go to Udemy, learn a new trade. That costs maybe $10. What's that, you know? Or do something. Draw, write, make videos, walk your dogs, plant a garden, you know, whatever. But do something that you enjoy. Do something that you enjoy. I really, really wish that on you. So, if you are programmed or not, doesn't matter, because right now I want you just to open your mind to new possibilities, new ways of thinking, new ways of living, actually. So just allow yourselves to open up to that. Okay? And with so much love.